All right. Welcome. This is my second chapter, my case chapter. This is Thomas Weaver, and we are going over social business, full speed ahead, or proceed with caution. So we'll start out with a little case introduction. So running a business can be very cumbersome, yet extremely rewarding. A high risk, high reward type of deal. Though many businesses seem to be running smoothly, they may actually be struggling to stay afloat, as there are many facets of keeping a business well oiled. As with most things, technology has found its way into the business world. Now, I know what you're thinking. Technology has been used by corporations since its creation. And you would be correct in saying that. However, the technology I'm referring to is an increasingly popular collection of social media. In the past, business has been conducted primarily on paper, so there is tangible evidence or documentation of specific actions taken or whatever the business may be concerned with. Yet, because businesses form copious amounts of documentation, organization tactics get dicey. This case will follow new methods of business organization through the implementation of social media. So we'll go over a little bit of tools and technology for collaboration in social business. We'll start out with the email and instant messaging, otherwise known as IM. So you got those which are steady major components of communication and collaboration tool. And then you have wikis, which are easy to use websites that are a means of contributing or editing content and graphics without any knowledge of web page development for sharing corporate knowledge and insight. You've got your virtual worlds, which are online 3D environments populated by residents portrayed through an avatar. IBM, Cisco, and Intel use these environments to conduct business meetings, interviews, guest speaker events, and employee training. And lastly, you've got collaboration and social business platforms, which are virtual meeting systems, cloud collaboration services, and some things such as Microsoft SharePoint and IBM Notes. So we do have a changing business environment, and the way business is being conducted now is much different than it was even 4 or 5 years ago. Bookkeeping is no longer a tangible slip of paper, and documents are now delivered via email or some other form of IM. As firms and the human population grow, so does the demand for jobs, products and services, and the need for more efficient business structures. These aspects have their pros and cons. More people applying to work at a firm gives the firm the option of expansion, and this could be more profits or less, depending solely on how the business is run. For any business, time is money, obviously. Therefore, it is necessary to be as efficient as possible in order to maximize profits. This is where the term social business comes into play. Businesses need a way to expand themselves and their reach to potential customers. Facebook, for example, is used by a sizable amount of adults. However, much of the younger generation finds itself primarily on Twitter and Instagram. Knowing your intended customers plays a big role in deciding which platforms to place your business. Now, these are a few drawbacks to integration. Establishing an audience. For a new business, it may be difficult to form an established target audience and what kind of customers you want to appeal to. Obviously, if you're a shaving razor company, your audience will mostly be, if not fully, grown adults because adolescents are not growing facial or body hair. Resistance to change. Most people don't take change in the best way. If a structure has shown promise in the past, why change it? This is the attitude many business owners receive from their employees, management included. When asked to implement social media into everyday work, employees seem to be very hesitant and even resistant to this unfamiliar beast. Variety of social media. Getting your workers on board with the idea of social media integration is only the beginning of the battle. Finding a social media that fits your exact needs and pertains to the sort of business being conducted is a completely different one. Now we'll go on to the case study questions. Identify the management, organization, and technology factors responsible for impeding adoption of internal corporate social networks. Like previously mentioned, the main factors stunting the growth of business from a social media standpoint would be the lack within people to want to change. Most individuals are terrified of change and feel that branching out into unfamiliar territory risks failure or diminishing profit. And a company's organization also plays a huge part of this. If a business structure is based solely in pen and paper, there's room for human error, inefficiency, and other problems. Instances where business owners were unaware of their errors, shortcomings, are completely prevalent at any time. If an owner is unaware of flaws, this could lead to major losses in profit as well as time management. If reporting were moved instead to computers and social media, many human errors would be eliminated, and many of the aspects of the business would improve tremendously by following trends of popular products or services generated by specified social media platforms. Compare the experiences implementing internal social networks of the two organizations described in this case. Why were they successful? What role did management play in this process? So Bayer Materials Sciences chose IBM Connections for its social business tool set. Their success stems from making the tools more accessible, demonstrating the value of these tools in pilot projects, employing a reverse mentoring program for senior executives, and training employee experts to spread know-how of new social tools and approaches within the company and demonstrate their usefulness. Carlos Bake Shop implemented Salesforce CRM with the Salesforce social networking tool Chatter. At first, some of the management team revealed their hesitance, yet with persistence, the company was able to demonstrate the benefits of social business. Small scale like Carlos or big scale like Bayer doesn't really matter in terms of systemic integration. What matters is the approach towards the inevitable change. Understanding plays a huge role in swaying employees towards your own goals. If they understand the why, they're more likely to implement these networks. Should all companies implement internal enterprise social networks? Why or why not? I think this is somewhat of a loaded question because each firm is so different from the next in terms of employees, goals and motivators, business structure, management style, etc. It's really hard to pinpoint an exact way to run a company and choose, if necessary, an internal enterprise social network. I would say regarding general data organization, definitely a good thing to have in the back pocket for overall improvement of a business. The social aspect of it would absolutely boost a business's reach to potential customers, especially using a platform that is known to foster your intended audience. However, implementation of these programs and the time and training it would take to do so is not free and could even become costly. Yet this may be balanced out by the amount of revenue produced by this newfound customer reach, along with the diminishing of human error and overall improvement to organization. A small business owner may not feel that these networks are necessary as operations aren't cumbersome or overbearing. I would suppose at the end of the day, it's up to the business owner to decide what's best for their company. So lastly, right here, we've got some personal questions and thoughts, just some things that came to mind when I was reading through. So I find that it is hard to change minds and persuade someone to act in a certain way without an incentive. So my questions regarding this are as follows. What would you do with lazy or unmotivated employees that are fine sticking with the form of communication currently in place? Are these types of employees worth the extra push for technological integration, or would it be smarter to conduct interviews to find individuals better suited for or more driven towards the job? What are smart ways to incentivize employees to work with you rather than for you? And I'm wondering how the results would differ in regards to using tangible versus intangible incentives. For example, how would an employee's drive increase when offered a bonus or better salary compared to offering better benefits or an all expenses paid vacation? Would forming a more friend-like bond or relationship with the employees cause them to be more susceptible to obeying your requests for integration of these social networks? So these programs and networks are just another brainchild born of the need for faster, better technologies geared towards organization and efficiency. I find myself frequently fascinated at the direction of the new tech programs and processes created for easing the fluidity of society. Economically, these sorts of networks seem to have a very promising future and just offer help overall. In life, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself or have a computer do it for you. It isn't the smartest thing to put your full undivided trust into everyone because we are human and we are bound to make mistakes. However, someone else's mistakes shouldn't have to affect you. And this is where algorithms and programs shine brightest. If you want efficiency and the same results every time, opt for internal enterprise social networks. But if you're okay with uncertainty and trusting fully in your employees, stick to your guns. Thank you. This is Thomas Weaver.